From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
All I need is one mic. That's all I need.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi, and I'm a little bit under the weather. Corey Clark is out saving the world. I didn't have the wherewithal to wait for Corey to accomplish all the great feats he does on a Tuesday, so I went ahead and just said, I'll talk a little bit about basketball, mention some recruiting stuff, and then most of the show today is going to be an interview that I had with Chris Thompson, Florida State great, Madison County standout, and a free agent now in the NFL. We sat down last week and talked about a little bit about FSU, a little about NFL, all the good stuff you hopefully are interested in. You guys say you want interviews, so here you go. You're going to have about a 20-minute interview. As always, we are presented by Zaxby's, indescribably good. The Caribbean jerk sandwich still going on. Boneless wings, still a thing. Enjoy it. We'll do Renegade Express tomorrow. Corey will make a great return off the top rope, drop an elbow, and drop lots of knowledge. Anyhow, on Tuesday night, Florida State saw their 10-game win streak come to an end at the hands of defending national champs Virginia, 61-56. Virginia ended the game on an 8-0 run. Florida State had an opportunity with about 10 seconds left to tie the game up. White Wilkes kind of had a awkward sort of opportunity to take a shot, hesitated, got backboard, but then the ball got gathered and sent out to Trent Force, who was wide open in the corner, and he airballed it. So these things happen. You're not going to win all your games. It's January. They'll be fine. That's where I'm at on it. I'm sure we'll talk about it more on the show tomorrow. I also want to talk about everybody's just propensity to blame officiating. Like, is that what we're going to do, everybody? Is that going to be the identity as we become a basketball school? They're just going to complain about refereeing every time? There's nothing I saw during the game at all on Tuesday night that made me shake my fist at the sky. Yet there's like 8 pages of the game thread, and there's, 30, 40 officiating gripes. There's a thread that blames on the officials. We can't live like this. It's not a good look. Let's stop it. Let's try to find a better way to work through our frustrations when our basketball team loses, because you guys, we're a football school still, so deal with that. In terms of recruiting, Florida State now up to 16th in the nation. They got 2 commitments on Tuesday, 2 guys from Tennessee. I think they were originally even committed to Tennessee, rather, and they were, as I'm going through my notes right here, or at least one of them was Darren Williamson. Both these kids from Haywood High School. It's in Brownsville, Tennessee. Darren Williamson, a 3-star athlete, 6'3", 190 pounds, was on campus this past weekend. Again, he was committed to Tennessee for almost the better half of a year. He commits to Florida State, as well as his teammate Marquiston Douglas, again from Brownsville, Tennessee, Haywood High School. 3-star, strong side defensive end, 6'6", 250. If you watch his tape on Huddle, I didn't watch Thompson's tape, and you can go to warchant.com, go on the premium recruiting board. Michael Langston has got a breakdown of these guys and probably gives you some better insight into their talent and their ability. And you can watch Huddle. You got 2 eyes. Trust what you see. But, man, that Douglas kid, a lot of his tape, the first few plays are him playing tight end, and I'm interested. I'm in on that. But I ultimately don't know what his fate will be when he does arrive in Tallahassee, whether he would be a tight end or a defensive end. But 6'6", 250, that's a pretty big hunk of clay that you can work with. These 2 verbal commitments are part of the 2020 class. Again, puts Florida State at 16, which is not a great thing around these parts, but all things considered, the season that was, the sort of the dragged-out coaching search to a certain degree, to be 16th right now with about another week or so to add some more players, all things considered, pretty good. And also, Chad Simmons of Rivals.com reported that there will be another important prospect on campus this coming weekend, DJ Lundy. He's a 3-star, and you're all going to be like, well, he's a 3-star? And I haven't watched any of his tape. And, again, if you want recruiting analysis, Michael Langston's your dude. Look at this guy's headshot on Rivals. He's got like a squared-off jaw that's made of granite. He's 6'1", 230. Apparently is also like one of the top wrestlers in the state of Georgia. And I think he mainly plays linebacker. He's 6'1", 230. He wrestles. Look at his jawline. Like, in terms of just toughness. Not that he's going to steal your girl. probably would, though. 61230. Again, DJ Lundy, he'll be on campus. It's reported by Chad Simmons. I think Michael Langston might have a follow-up as well over on warchant.com on the Premier Recruiting Board. So all the recruiting stuff seems to be going fairly nicely. Not the 4- and the 5-star guys. If you've heard Michael Langston talk about it, we're going to have to put something together on the field to get those guys. You just have to. And this recruiting class is all about meeting needs. They need some defensive ends. They need pass rushers. Again, I don't know where Douglas will line up it, but 6'6", 250, that's probably a guy that can help you out the defensive end. And you need some speed. You need some athletes, and Darren Williamson kind of gives you that. So that's your recruiting minute by the guy who's not the big recruit, Nick. But you all know more than I do, probably, so it's fine. I entertained you. Anyhow, with that said, we sat down, talked to Chris Thompson on Friday. So, again, we're going to try to make this a common, recurring thing. Everybody likes interviews, which, I don't know, man. I think if you listen to this podcast and you just want to listen to two guys just shoot the breeze about your favorite team, I don't know. That's how I am with podcasts. I don't really like when my favorite guys have interviews. But, hey, you guys are the important ones. With that said, here's Chris Thompson. We'll be back tomorrow with a full show. Renegade Express style. Post your questions over on the Tribal Council. Seminole great. Current NFL player, man. He's been in the league for, golly, what's about coming 8 years, 7 years now, Chris?
Yeah, I just finished year 7.
Man, crazy, man, how time flies, man. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Good, man, good. So this is going to be, I want to walk down memory lane. Not going to talk too much about, who the Redskins need to put a quarterback, anything crazy like that, but your story for me was always incredible because I went to Florida State and I was living like in Montana and Mississippi during the teeth of kind of your career at Tallahassee. So to see that you've been in the NFL for this long is like incredible. And just I want you to walk me through, this is crazy. So like I got dumped last year and that sucked, but I can't imagine what it was like for you to go through your injuries. And the first one, man, with all the sort of accolades you came into college with and the way that your career started kind of slowly, trending upwards, like the back injury that you had, I mean, the fact that you were told that maybe you might not be able to walk again. I mean, how does a kid, a 19, 20-year-old kid, how did you process that?
It was tough, man. Honestly, I can't even explain it. Just the pain was horrible. I had a whole bunch of doubts about my future. And I was, getting to the point I had just finished my, that happened during my junior year. So it's around the time where, scouts and everything are starting to look at you. And for something like that to happen, it really hurt me, mentally, obviously physically, but, it was I feel like looking back on it now, it was all part of my my story and my journey, because just going through that back injury and being where I am today, it's just amazing, and it's something that it continues to push me and keeps me going, because there were, all the fans at Florida State had my back from day one with the back injury, and the ACL as well. But I just always had that support, which really helped me and which really gave me, that confidence to want to come back after having a back injury. And, it took me a while to have the confidence in myself and to be able to go out and not think about it, not think about hurting myself again, and all that, because I was in a back brace for a long time, and it was just all bad, man. And I'm just looking back on it. I feel like it sucked going through it, but I feel like it really made me a stronger and a better person moving forward.
How does that happen, though? I mean, people say that, Chris. It's crazy. Like, how do you sustain something so like nearly devastating? Like, how are you able to spin that into, I don't want to say a positive, but how are you able to, make that into a moment that you become stronger from?
For me, it was really a matter of just figuring out, like, for myself, just I had to figure out how strong I was mentally to be able to try to come back from something like that type deal. And the fact that I was able to overcome that mental hump and then be able to start practicing, start working out with the guys again and doing all of that, and being able to have the type of year that I had in my senior year before the ACL, obviously, that gave me, it gave me so much confidence, and I really learned from that for me, and it's cliche because you hear it all the time, but it's one of those, whatever you put your mind to, you can overcome it. If you want to, you can overcome it. And for me, I understand that the game of football, there's going to be injuries and things like that happen. And for me, just going through that in that year and a half or whatever, it was more of a, like, if you can come from a broken back, then there's nothing else that can really stop you, unless it's something that's for sure, career ending. And that's something that kept me going. And that's why even with the injuries I've had so far in my career, there's never, I never give up. And I usually come back after the injuries. I come back better. I come back feeling stronger, type thing. And it honestly started from that. And, it's something that sucks, but I think it was more of a blessing in disguise for me to also see how strong and how tough I really am.
What do you remember about that game in Winston-Salem? I mean, like,
no, I remember the whole thing. I remember getting the ball on that toss play, and it was like either 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 2, but it was only 2 or 3 yards I had to get the first down. And just looking back on it, it wasn't a smart thing for me to do at all, given the speed that I had. I could have outran the safety and maybe even got 20 plus yards, but for some reason on that play I decided to think, hey, I need to worry about getting this first down. So I got the toss play, and instead of running outside, I end up just cutting it up, and I ran right into the guy's chest. And I can remember I had my head down, and when I hit him, I just fell over, and I tried to push myself up off the ground, and I couldn't do it. And then one of my teammates tried to come pick me up. I think it was David Spurlock, I believe. He tried to come pick me up, and I couldn't reach up to grab him, to grab his hand. And it's a good thing that didn't happen, because the doctors ended up telling me had I moved or had I tried to get up, it was so close to a nerve that could have paralyzed me, from the waist down. So, all of that, like, it's just crazy how, just how close it was to being terribly bad to now playing. I just finished my 7th year in the league. It's amazing, man. Like, it's just
crazy.
a blessing.
It's crazy,
for sure. But yeah, that's something I will never, ever forget.
All right. So, you talk about getting over the mental hurdle. You've said broken back, mental hurdle, gonna take a long time, but you come back 2012 senior year, and you're ripping it off like from the jump. In that season, obviously it has to be bittersweet because of the ACL injury that happens later on.
Yeah.
But what was the highlight of 12? Was it ripping it off against Wake Forest? You averaged about 22 yards per carry. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember being in my house in Mississippi and just watching you bust up Clemson and just being in an absolute awe. I'm like, this is the kid that broke 2 vertebrae, and look what he's doing at Clemson, national TV. What was the highlight of 12?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing, number one, was just to be able to continue to play and be out there, with those guys, with my teammates. But Wake Forest was definitely a highlight, and it's crazy. A lot of people don't know this, but I was a little upset with Jimbo during that game because I played so good in the first half, and I took one hit like on a screenplay, and he took me out, and he was like, "You're not going back in," and I was like, man, come on, coach. Like, I'm having the greatest game of my career right now. Like, just let me keep going. But he was like, nope. He's like, nope. I seen enough. You're done for the day. So, and I mean, the score was pretty bad at that point, I believe too. So, I was a little upset that he took me out because I still wanted to dominate them in that game. But Clemson was definitely a fun one, and I just happened to find some DVDs of those games, that Clemson game, and I watched it, and I was like, man, this is like, that was the most fun game I think I played in my whole career at Florida State. It was just how the Florida game went, and being down, being able to come back and beat them, and having the type of game that I did, that was much fun. But, for me, the biggest thing was just to be able to get back and play as well as I did. And, just really not giving up and being able to enjoy those, those last moments with them and with the fans for sure. 'Cause they, win, lose, or draw, they were out there and, more times than not packing the stadium out.
Yeah, man. Hey, tell me this. How exhausted were you down in Miami when you busted off that touchdown back in 2010? And then, the next, I guess maybe not too tired because you came back and the very next play, 90 yards to the house.
Yeah, that was, that's another one I won't forget. I remember that one. And when I broke the first one, I was pretty tired, and I looked to the sideline, and I'm looking at my running back coach, Coach Grant, as I'm like slowly just jogging back, and he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, and I tapped my helmet, and he was like, you gotta go, we don't have anybody. And I was like, oh my God, is he serious right now? Like, I know there's somebody that can come in for one play just to give me a break right now. And he was like, no, we don't have anybody. You gotta go. And I was like, shoot, all right, let's go. And then just so happened we kind of ran a pretty similar play. I think we ended up running it to the right side again, and ended up breaking it for 90. And man, I tell you, I was so tired, but I'm glad the defense was tired as well, so that helped me out a little bit on that play. And I didn't know that happened to be I think it's been broken now, but when that happened, it was like the longest run that they had ever allowed in their history, which was a big deal. So
you can't hear it, but we're smiling from ear to ear, man. That was an amazing moment. That was incredible. Hey, walk me back to this thing too. You would obviously your time at Florida State was over. 2013, Florida State makes the national championship game. I think one of the coolest things was, we all saw you out there in Pasadena enjoying that game. How did that sort of come about? You getting out to Pasadena? I mean, I don't know. Was that? I mean, that could have been something in the works. I don't know. Was that a last minute thing, or was that planned for you to try to make it out there?
So I seem to keep having funny stories or remembering a lot, but that game, I ended up getting tickets. I forgot who I asked. I want to say I asked somebody at the school, I think, for some tickets. I ended up being able to get a ticket to the game, or maybe my agent helped me. I can't even remember, honestly, but so I ended up planning to go to fly to LA on Monday on the morning of the game. And I got to the airport and got on the plane and realized I left my ticket at home. So I hopped on Twitter real quick, and I was like, man, I'm on my way to LA. I left my ticket at home. blah, blah, blah. And by the time I got to LA, by the time I landed and got connection with my phone again, Miss Candy had sent me a text and said she had a ticket for me, and there were like a bunch of fans that were going to the game that were like, I got an extra ticket for you, so don't worry about it. And I was like, man, Florida State fans are by far the best in the world, because they looked out for me big time when, I had no other way of getting in the game because the tickets were all sold out and stuff. And so when I got there, I ended up meeting up with Miss Candy. She had a ticket for me, and I was there in the stands with her and I think B.J. Upton, the baseball player that they're pretty close with. And that game, man, it was amazing. Just how the guys fought back after being down, and everybody remembers when is it Trey Mason, the running back? That's his name?
Yeah, for Auburn.
For Auburn, yeah, when he did the whole Heisman pose and everything after he scored the touchdown, and then after that, my boys got clicking. Kermit ran a kick return back, and after that, man, it was on. And then, that touchdown we'll never forget with KB down there. It was just amazing game, just amazing to see, especially for, the guys, the running backs for sure that I had been with for 2 years. Just seeing them be able to get to the top and win it all, like that, it was just amazing experience, for me. That
2012 season is kind of remembered so differently, or just kind of in a weird way, by so many fans, because it comes right before the national championship season, so everybody kind of focuses on 13 and doesn't really realize, everything that 12 did. I mean, Jimbo talked about you guys winning the ACC championship, beating or winning a New Year's bowl game, the Orange Bowl against Northern Illinois. That kind of stuff helped set up 2013. I mean, you were in the NFL at that time, but I mean, do guys like you and Vince, do you feel like, you also had a hand in what happened out there in Pasadena and that entire 2013 run?
I feel like that all started and was building from 2010 on. And I say that because there were that was the year that Jimbo took over, and there were some guys that we ended up having come in, and also some guys that were already there that started to step up and realized after that, what I would call bad season that we had my freshman year, we're like, man, we gotta do everything we can to turn this thing around. And, we had guys that were some big time that came in leading right away, like, Telvin, for example, came in, and guys that had came from some winning high school programs as well that were, just ready to be down to change this thing around from day one and to buy into everything that we wanted to do, everything that Jimbo wanted to do. And I think over time that just kept building, kept getting better. And that year, that 2012 year, I think we had a lot of confidence, and we had grown together for so long that, everything was really clicking for us. And, guys completely bought into what we were doing and what we wanted as a team. And that NC State game obviously was terrible, and that's, in my opinion, we ended up losing 2, but that game is what took us out of it. Because I feel like if we would have won that, the confidence would have been so high we would have ended up beating Florida too at the end of the season. But I feel like that's how championship teams work. You go through the bad times, and you keep going through them, and you gradually get better. And we knew guys that weren't playing, younger guys that were still growing and maturing, especially a guy like Jameis, who ended up leading them to the national championship. He was getting himself ready, getting himself matured, and I knew there was going to be some good things to come out of that with them. And for me, like I said before, I was just super happy for those guys to be able to get it. I was hoping they end up going back to back and winning a couple championships, but that didn't happen. But it was just good to see that 13-14, those 13-14 years just winning, being on that big time game win streak and everything. And my whole college career, I never lost a bowl game, so I think that's something as well that helps guys. It's a lot of those small things that it helps a team. It helps give a team that confidence that you're gonna be at the top and you can be there.
Chris, last question from me, man. You're living your dream. I mean, you're an NFL running back. You're vested into the National Football League with you being there for, over 7 seasons now. And just, I guess it's just, kind of reflecting back on how you got there. But just, is it everything you thought it would be being in the NFL? I mean, it's the dream, but now it's totally a business. It's cutthroat to the max. Just, what's it been like, being able to kind of thrive in the most competitive business industry maybe in the entire world?
For me, it still has been fun, and that's something that's really pushed me and has motivated me every single day to wake up and continue to do it. The business side of it, that part, it kind of sucks, and it could be draining to guys because there's a lot of guys that, teammates and stuff that I talk to, or guys that's on other teams, or former teammates that I had that's on other teams right now. Just the business side and dealing with that is tough. It's because you end up building these relationships with guys and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, every Tuesday, that most Tuesdays there's changes that's going to happen. There's cuts, there's signings, all of that, and that part of the game sucks. Because you get close with a lot of these guys, and thankfully I've been able to be on one team my whole career, but that doesn't always happen. And now I'm in a situation where I've been with this team and built relationships all around the building with all these guys, and now there's question marks, and I don't know where I'm gonna be. I don't know where I'm gonna play this coming season and in the future, and that's the part of it that gets tough sometimes. But other than that, man, it's been fun for me. There's nobody that can take that part of the game away from me, of me just going out there and having fun. I've been through too many injuries and just dealt with too much to not go out there and have fun and enjoy what I do. And I love the competition part of it. It brings the best out of me, every single year. And I'm gonna just continue to try to do it as much as I can. And everybody that's had my back and supported me from those days and back in college going through those injuries, I just appreciate it, and it's definitely something that's continued to keep me going.
Man, I lied. I know we kept you way too long, and I'm sorry, but I'm asking one last thing. Just
No, it's fine, man.
Did you practice harder in Tallahassee or in the league? And did you feel worse on a Sunday morning in college or on a Monday morning playing pro ball?
Pro ball for sure. The practices, I think the practices were definitely harder in college than they are in the league, in my opinion. Just because when you're in college, those coaches are still trying to groom you and get you ready to be a professional. So the training and everything you put your body through in college, it's a bit different. There's, you gotta do that. Like high school is tough. College is tough. When you get to the league, it's still hard, but I think it's a little more, it's a little less than it is in college as far as the way that you practice. Because there's not as much full contact in practices, and we're limited on how many padded days and all that kind of stuff we have, and so that part of it, definitely college practices were harder, but the soreness is way worse in the NFL.
Well, Chris, hopefully this will help the marketing ability of you as you go into free agency, just that whatever team does sign you, they're going to get a boost of, however many Florida State fans are out there are going to be rooting for you guys on Sunday because they'll have signed you, man. You're a fan favorite. Thanks so much for the time. We really appreciate it, Chris. Chris Thompson.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
Zaxby's Caribbean Jerk Chicken is just like a vacation in the tropics, only without the sunburn. Or the dive-bombing seagulls. Or all of that pesky sand.
How'd it get in there?
Well, at least it tastes like the tropics. Enjoy our famous chicken tossed in a tropical blend of spicy habanero, fruity mango, and exotic island spices. The Caribbean Jerk boneless wings and the new filet sandwich meal. 2 more reasons you'll get a kick out of Zaxby's.